Hi. Now that we've learned a lot about how to create chatbots, and we created these basic bots, and then we went into creating bots with search and bots with vector database, what we want to go next to see is how do we create bots with skills. And before we jump into what skills are, all our bots so far have went through this path where it's a user asks an agent either goes to ChatGPT directly or goes to database, search, and then goes to ChatGPT. But what if we wanted to make it more intelligent? Ultimately, we want this bot to be able to understand what's being asked of it and then make a decision on where to go, whether it should go to a database, whether it should go to search, whether it should go directly to ChatGPT, rather than having that sequential steps. This is what skills are all about. And I want to show you like a demo here where I say I want to make chocolate chip cookies. And this is going and telling me the ingredients for chocolate chip cookies. But not only that, it will realize that it's integrated with Instacart as a skill, and it will ask me whether I want to add that to my cart ultimately. And when I say yes, please, it's able to use one of its skills, which is Instacart, to add that information. And this is the whole concept of that skills. Different providers call it differently. So we have, of course, ChatGPT plugins, which use that same concept of agents. We have LangChain, which is probably the most famous open source chaining tool available. And this is what we're going to be talking through today. And thirdly, there's Microsoft Semantic Kernel, which is the third option that's available to do that. So let's first understand what LangChain is all about. LangChain is making it simpler and much easier for you to create these complex chains. So if you think about it, you have a large language model, let's say OpenAI, and then you have a prompt. That's the simplest way to create a LangChain. And you create this chain by giving it a new LLM chain and give it the model as a large language model and the prompt you want. Next, you can include memory. So you can start having memory in that conversation chain through buffer memory, for instance. Or if you want to add a vector store, you can also do that through the chain. And this is the first thing. It's that making it much easier to swap out things. So if I were to change my vector database, I can easily swap it out. If I want to change the memory to be through a database, I can do that. If I want to change my prompt, I can do that without changing my main code, ultimately. But it's far more powerful than that. With agents, it's able to create this idea of tools and able to run through these tools. So for example, here, I'm giving it a set of tools which are search, calculator, and my QA tool. And I initialize the agent with these tools, and then it's able to use the right skill or the right tool. Now, there are a lot of advancements in this model, specifically towards AGI, baby AGI being one of them, but there are a lot of these different open source tools based on research on how to utilize LangChain to create much more intelligent scenarios. And this is something we're going to see more and more of, and we're going to be talking about in one of our upcoming videos. So let's go into a demo. Again, my demo is going to still rely on our AI chatbot, but this time, if I were to ask it, who is Paul Graham? It's going to go and try to answer that question. This time it's using this new tool, ultimately this chain, to answer it. But let's ask it something a little bit more complex. How old is Paul Graham? And multiply that age by 3. We're going to wait to see the answer here. And you'll see that Paul Graham is 64 years old, and multiplied by 3 and came up with a solution. Even though it's not correct, it's still trying to deduce that answer, or it tried to deduce that answer. Now, how did that happen? So you'll see here, it actually, what we'll see here, the thought process actually occurs. So it tells you, I need to look up his age, then multiply it by 3. It used Bing search to look up his age, and it got age of Paul Graham, and it got that information. And it now know the age of Paul Graham. And then the only mistake it did here is that it multiplied when he was born by 3 instead of his actual age. And again, this is a mistake it did, but as agents become more intelligent, they're going to be able to handle this. But this is something that without agent, you couldn't really have been able to do. So let's see how we run our agent. So what I did here is I created a new chat LangChain here, and I gave it a prompt, I initialized my prompt as I do previously. And then I created a model with new OpenAI and gave it a temperature of 0.9. If I give it a more accurate temperature here, like 0, it might be more accurate in giving me results. I then gave it the tools or the skills it can work with. So I here have 2 tools, Bing Search API and the calculator. And then I initialized the agent executor and told it, these are my tools, this is the model I want to use, and that I want to use an agent type of zero-shot React description. I'm going to cover the different types as we go through LangChain in a completely different video series, but for this video series, that's just a basic way to show you that capability. And then we await that executor.call, which calls on the input, which is my prompt. So it's taking in that input, passing it through my model and choosing based on it, creating that plan and being able to answer. Now, this works well as we've seen here, and I can ask it, who is Paul Graham and how old is he? When you know the age, multiply it by 3. Let's see how it performs that. And as it's doing that, we can see its thought process. So you'll see here, it's using again Bing Search to find out who Paul Graham is, and then using Bing Search again to find Paul Graham's age, and then using the calculator to multiply it. And again, it got the same error because it's multiplying still the year, not the actual age. But you get the idea here that it's able to answer all that information, or it's able to use the different steps or different instructions here. Having said that, I want to enrich this a little bit more, because this is again one of the powers of LangChain is that your code stays clean, it stays very similar even if you want to add new things. So I want to add Pinecone here, and I want to add my own vector database. So what I'm going to do is create a new constant. So you'll see here, I'm creating a new constant client equal new Pinecone client, and then I initialize that client. Then I'm going to create a new index in Pinecone. Or I'm going to actually reference my index, and then I'm going to use my vector store. So I'm going to initialize a new vector store. So I'm saying here, my vector store is a Pinecone store, and it's from an existing index, and I'm passing my Pinecone index and my OpenAI embeddings because it needs to embed that data. And then I'm going to create a new chain, and this is going to be my new type. So I'm going to create here a chain called VectorDB QA chain from LLM. It just needs my model as well, so I need to pass in my model. So I'll just move it up here. And then I gave it K1, which means just get the first result and return source documents. I'm just going to say false for now because I don't really need them. And I'm going to say my QA tool. I created a new chain tool called Pinecone QA, and it's saying that it can answer questions about Paul Graham's life. And I can pass this as a new tool here. And that's the beauty of it, is that you were able to add a new tool, and the chain is automatically going to be able to utilize that tool or that skill it now has gained to answer the questions. Thank you for watching. Now, as I said, this is kind of the newest thing around, is utilizing chains to be able to create this. But as we want more intelligent agents and more intelligent tools to occur, we're going to look at how we utilize something called Baby Agent, which utilizes LLM to be able to answer that. Now, I'm not going to cover this in this video series because I'm starting a new video series about LangChain specifically, and another one about prompt engineering. Thanks for watching, and hope you found this useful.